On behalf of the Linn-Mar School Board, I welcome everyone to this evening's meeting, and I now call this meeting to order. John, would you please determine a quorum?
Director Buckles?
Here.
Director Foss?
Here.
Director Mansour?
Here.
Director Maury?
Here.
Director Thomas?
Here.
Director Walker?
Here.
President Lau Lancaster?
Here. At this time, I'm going to just remind all of us, first of all, thank you for your time and all your commitment, and we know this is a very busy week for Linn-Mar, and we're excited that the school year is getting kicked off, and thank you to all of our new staff and also our existing staff. Thank you for what you do for our students and our community. To keep the meeting flowing, I'm just going to invite us, I'm going to read the agenda number and the title, and then we will proceed with a motion if necessary and a second, and then we'll get in discussion. So we're going to slow down and just so we all have clarity. All right, thank you. At this time, I have item number 200, the adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Midhot makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Barry makes the second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? The motion carries. I do not believe we had anyone sign in today to for our audience communication. Therefore, I thank everyone, and we're going to continue on, and we'll move to our informal reports. At this time, we have item number 401, our Marion City Council report. Director Thomas.
My mind is blanking. I don't recall anything that was standout.
It was moving, inspiring, and
Yes.
wow. Okay, there
I
you go.
appreciate the city council's contributions to our community.
Thank you very much. If anybody ever wants to, those meetings are recorded, and you can always go back and watch them as you want. Any questions? If not, we're going to move on to item number 402, Facilities Advisory Committee report.
We had a lot of good discussion around the performance venue and reviewing those schematics in the upcoming activity center, realigning the steering committee. We talked a lot about some things we want to do to just kind of establish a foundation for the committee and our work. So we are going to be having every playground is going to be inspected the week of August 18th, which would be this week. And that's going to be done by a certified playground safety inspector, just so we have a baseline of, which slide or swing or those kinds of things to make sure that we kind of know which order we need to replace things in. And then that will lead to our kind of schedule of playgrounds. Then we're also talking about doing RFPs for a demographer, an architect for the Oak Ridge Band Room project, and then doing a facility assessment RFP as well.
Could you explain it? How did you explain an RFP?
So request for proposals is an RFP. For the demographer, one of our strategic plans goals is to just better understand the makeup of the community and the future projections of the district. And one of the ways you can do that is with a demographer who will analyze the community and kind of report back on different demographics and things like that. We'll be able to outline in the RFP kind of what we would like to see. And then the facility assessment RFP would be for an architect or a contractor to come in and just kind of go through all of our buildings and help us understand what needs to be done, what could be done. Midhot and Justin, jump in if I'm missing anything.
It's just best practice as we grow to be a district with so many facilities in order to continue to present that, have best in class for our taxpayers. We need to just make sure that we're studying these on a routine basis. It's best practice in order to kind of have that running list and then update it every several years as things either last longer than they were expected to, or need to be repaired sooner than later, or our priorities change in between then.
And yeah, that assessment will help us having an expert walk through rather than us saying, we think this carpet looks old, we should replace it, or the HVAC system or windows or things like that, or how could we just refresh this building to make it like it's fine, but maybe we could do this to make it look a little more up to date, things like that. We're going to have a professional come in and kind of help guide those recommendations so that we can put things in the order. And then we went over the 10-year planning document again, which is going to continue to evolve as those assessments come in, and we'll be able to bring the board data along with our recommendations.
Wow, well done. Great work.
I would just add real quick to the demographer that sometimes the best output from that is as you're studying birth rates and whatnot, you can better balance your schools. And I know it's always a difficult conversation to have on which neighborhood goes to which school, but the more that we can message that we're thinking about it all the time to make sure we have the best overall school experience. There's nothing planned today, but just that is something that the board and the administration are always trying to think through and balance.
Sure. Thank you very much. Minot, do you have anything to add? You're good? Well, thank you very much for that report. At this time, 403, Policy Committee Report.
We met on August 12th, and we have several recommendations that we're bringing forward from the IASB June primer, in addition to some edits to policies that were previously approved in the July 7th meeting. We have some recommendations that we're bringing forward for a first reading. Some of these were particular policies that were passed in the 7-7 meeting because of that just had DEI policy changes or the DEI title changes. And when we were going back over those in our policy committee meeting, we realized that there were some additional changes in order to align with the IASB recommendations. And so we're bringing those additional recommendations forward and then also aligning that with the decisions that we made at the last meetings regarding gender identity. And so adding that back in because we did have a couple policies that had that struck out. So making sure that we're being consistent across the board for those.
I would just clarify that by title changes, that specifically means the job title changes
Yes.
within the policy, not the title of the policies. And
Correct. Any questions on that?
Anyone have any questions for the Policy Committee?
Do you want questions about policies now or when we actually go over the policies?
Discussion as the actual policies probably would be best at that time.
Just
This is-
clarifying.
Thank you, Britt. This is more, do you have discussion about the actual committee meeting itself?
I would, President Lau Lancaster, I would just like to make a comment. I personally want to thank the policy committee because I know some of the folks on the committee had to take time off from work. They had to do all the heavy lifting. It just shows us what our committees do, what they do for us as a board, and how important this part of our board is. So I want to thank each of you along with the cabinet that's involved with a lot of those meetings too, so I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Barry. I think that would probably go a long way with all the committees and especially our cabinet. We are very aware of the extra time that you provide to us and also your guidance, so thank you very much. If there's no further questions or comments, we're going to move on to item number 404, our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Lau Lancaster. Last week, we started welcoming staff back, so it feels really great. We had new teacher orientation on August 13th and 14th, and thank you to the board members who were able to make the luncheon and meet our new staff. We have roughly 20 new teachers, and roughly 6 of them are first year, so it's fun to welcome them in their first year and also the rest of them as veteran staff. Over the weekend, the Booster Club honored Pete King on behalf of the former president of the Booster Club. And on August 16th, we named the concession stand the Pete King Concession Stand. So it was well attended, and it was nice to hear from the current Booster president as well as Kim Belt and Pete's wife and son. Community outreach, kudos to Lynn Grove and Wilkins staff working with Marion Cares to host their annual Back to School Bash, which provides hundreds of local students with backpacks filled with essential school supplies. Speaking of the teaching staff, on Friday we hosted the larger teaching staff back on site for our TQSA Professional Development Day. Thank you to those who attended, as well to our staff who worked hard to provide and prepare the various breakout sessions available. As far as staffing, I just wanted to provide an update as we're heading into the school year beginning next Monday. All of our teacher positions are filled, so that feels really good. We have 16 associate positions open, which is about half of what we had at this time last year. So we've certainly made progress with the work that we did, with where we are starting their salaries, as well as the bonus that we provide, stipend that we provided last spring. So I appreciate the board's work on that, the cabinet's work on that, as well as our principals. It feels good to have 16 associate openings as compared to about 32 at this time last year. We have about 4 nutrition services openings. Director Cruz would love to hire 3 to 4 more bus drivers. Our operations and maintenance staff is looking for 2 custodians and 1 person for grounds, and we have 3 coaching positions currently available. We've been in the mode of communication, and whether that's been internally with our leadership team or with our staff newsletters, we're constantly working on making sure that we've got people feeling informed about various pieces as we're heading into the new year. So we're excited to do that, and by the end of this week, we'll issue another family newsletter. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of meetings as we were gearing up for the new year, whether it's a leadership team meeting, a virtual statewide superintendent's meeting. Several administrators attended the School Administrator of Iowa, better known as SAI, annual conference in Des Moines. We've had policy committee meetings that you heard about, facility advisory, new teacher orientation, luncheon events, and several other meetings as we prep. Let's see. So a little bit as far as our facilities projects. Last time I know I mentioned the scoreboard being up at the stadium. As far as the performance venue, painting is ongoing, and thank you for all of you for making the tour this evening so that we could see the happenings inside the venue. Painting is ongoing in the auditorium, stage area, and the auditorium ceiling and the tops of walls are also being painted. Polishing of concrete floors in the lobby space is underway. The scaffold in the auditorium, although you might not have been able to tell, it actually is lower than it has previously been. Cloud installation will begin tomorrow. The ceiling cloud installation, exterior painting of the existing building is ongoing. Their steel stair installation at Stairway 4 is now complete. Stage floor has been poured. Red metal wall panel and soffit installation around the perimeter of the building is ongoing. And all of the theater equipment and rigging has arrived from the suppliers and is in storage currently off-site. As far as our indoor activity center and renovation projects, OPN and the team are using scans and field verification to build their model. So some upcoming events. Today was officially the one of 2 teacher work days, although staff had the opportunity to come in from August 1st until today to spend time working and preparing their classrooms. 3 of the days this week are devoted to professional development, that being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, those being Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have a teacher work day on Thursday, and then we'll welcome our students back next Monday and Tuesday with kindergarten through 9th graders coming on Monday, and that's kinders with the last name of A through M, and their first day of school for 10th through 12th graders, as well as kinders with the last names N through Z. We will welcome our preschool students the day after Labor Day, so on September 2nd.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question or any comments? Thank you. I know this has been a big time to launch yet another school year, and thank you to your leadership and to this cabinet. We are going to move on now to item number 500, our unfinished business. We're going to move on now to item number 600, new business. 601, approval of the open enrollment requests.
Make a motion to approve the open enrollment request as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Britt, a second by Midhat. Is there any discussion? Not having any discussion, let's go ahead and have a vote. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion carries. At this time, I have item number 602, first reading of policy recommendations.
Motion to approve the first reading of the policy recommendations as presented in Exhibit 602.1.
We have a motion by Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
By Melissa. Thank you. Discussion.
I just have a couple questions. On policy 103.1, I'm just curious why the language for sexual harassment was cut.
I can speak to that, but also have a recommendation regarding that. So the policy committee looked at that, and the recommendation at the time was to remove that based on the fact that it's covered in 104.3, prohibition of discrimination and harassment based on sex per Title IX. However, that policy it refers to the definition in code, but it doesn't explicitly lay it out. So as we remove it, or if we remove it from this policy, I would suggest that we add that, the policy committee add that to list that out in the 104.3, just so that we do have it written out in one of our policies. Because I do think if we're adding definitions for the other types of discrimination and harassment, we should include the full definition somewhere.
So are you going to move all the definitions to that other policy or just the sexual harassment to the other policy?
I think the sexual harassment needs to be in one or the other. I'm okay with whichever one it was, but I went back after the policy committee meeting because we had talked about in the meeting that it was discussed in this policy, and so I went back just to confirm and read it, and it is discussed, it's referred to, but it just refers to the 34 CFR 106.30, which is the part of the law that defines what sexual harassment is, and I think people aren't going to go look up that law, and so I think that for the purposes of our policy, we should have that definition explicit like we do for bullying and harassment.
I would agree. I seem to remember, like, the trait or characteristic of an individual, that is coming out because of a specific law that, right, that removed those things. You can't list out traits or characteristics of an individual, but I didn't think that that law addressed sexual harassment, and I would just feel better about leaving that definition in the policy. So if between the first and the second reading, I would like that considered, please.
Thank you.
And then my second question is on policy 1001.4R. I'm going to scroll down to it so that I can make sure my handwriting makes sense.
I know this one well.
1001.4.
No, it's 1,000, right?
1001.4.
policy on the list.
This is the distribution of material regulation, is this correct? 1001.4R.
Yes,
Thank you.
1001.4R.
So we're all on the same page.
I was curious, so I noticed that you're adding the same paragraph at the beginning and then again under procedures, and I didn't know why we needed to say it twice. And then I thought so I don't disagree with this other change, but I would like clarification. So in that new paragraph, all unofficial written materials will be distributed to students and the school community through the virtual backpack, which is digital online platform, which basically means everything has to be digital. But then we go on under guidelines to say buttons, badges, insignias, and then in part 2, we go on to say, sorry, I'm trying to scroll down to read it. Printed or other physical material distribution. So I'm just confused. At the very beginning, we're adding this paragraph that says everything will go through the virtual backpack, but then we have a different section that also says physical materials. So I'm just trying to understand, is it only through the virtual backpack and not physical materials, or does that opening paragraph that's in there twice need to explain physical material distribution?
We're going to have Renee respond to that.
We can look at the duplication. The intention was to provide different guidance, recognizing the need to, like, the example that we came back to was the Caitlin Clark books that were distributed. How do we have a means to distribute something that's like that physically? But otherwise, most of our requests need to be digitally distributed. So that was the intention.
Okay. Yeah, I was just clarifying because I was like, well, this one says digital only, but then we get down here and there's physical, so I just kind of wanted clarification there. And I don't think you need to say the same thing twice, especially 2 paragraphs later, so I don't know if we need it in there twice. And then my second part under the definition, there's a part that says anything that is distributed must include a statement about how it's not a Linn-Mar publication. I'm good with that. My question is, does that statement being attached to things is that only required on things that organizations contact us and ask us to distribute? Or does that also apply to things that like our teachers or our counselors bring in as a resource, but it's not Linn-Mar publication? So do they have to have stickers and put that statement on everything that's not Linn-Mar, or is it just outside organization asking us to distribute something?
The intention was for 501c3 organizations specifically to utilize this process. So it was intended for external organizations.
Okay, so if a teacher or a counselor orders material from a valued, trusted source that they use, they don't have to put stickers on everything?
That was not the intention.
Okay.
Yep.
Those were my questions. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any discussion? We will take those into consideration. Thank you very much, Britt, for your detailed, and thank you, Renee, for being on top of those questions for us. We appreciate it. Is there any other further discussion? At this time, then, I would like to ask for a vote. All those in favor of passing the first reading of policy recommendations as in Exhibit 602.1 say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Do I have 603, first reading of policy recommendations? This time it is Exhibit 603.1.
Motion to approve the first reading of the policies 104.1, 104.1R, 104.2E, 302.1, 303.1, and 400.1 as presented in Exhibit 603.1.
Second.
And we have a motion by Laura and a second by Barry. Is there discussion? If there is no discussion, I will go for, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We move on now to item number 700, our consent agenda.
I have a motion, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Barry and a second by Britt. Is there any discussion? Not having any discussion, is all those in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? The motion carries. At this time, I believe we are down all the way to number 800, Board Calendar and Communications. I'm going to highlight some of our upcoming board events, and I know that we've just mentioned a couple of them, but just go ahead. August 19th and 20th are professional staff days here at Linn-Mar, and we're excited to have the buildings just alive with energy, and thank you very much. August 21st is our teacher workday. August 22nd is professional day for staff. August 25th through 26th, the first days of 2025-2026 school year, drum roll, there. August 26th, Facilities Advisory Committee meeting will meet at 4 o'clock in the ballroom. September 1st, boardroom, what did I say? Ballroom. You know, but wasn't that kind of fun for a moment to think about it? Okay, back to this. September 1st, no school due to Labor Day holiday. September 2nd, first day for our preschool students. I'd also like to remind everybody that school board elections are going to take place on November 4th. Anyone who's interested in submitting their name as a candidate can find information resources on the district website in our board policies. And I just want to invite anybody who is interested in running for a board position. I know myself and any board member would be more than happy to have a conversation with you about expectations and also possibilities. So please let us know that if you want to bounce ideas off of us. We're not here to say yes or no. We're here to just be an encouraging voice to speak with. Anything else? On that final note, just a reminder, there is a work session tonight after our meeting, which Amy and I will facilitate a discussion on the new performance venue.
I move to adjourn at 5:24.
Second.
I just want to take in this moment. We adjourned our meeting at what time?
5:24.
5:24 with a motion by Barry and a second by Midhat. Any discussion? Woo-hoo. If not, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed say no. The motion carries. All right, let's take 10 minutes.